bit of a windy day, but I have the feeling that maybe I need to specialize a different kind of NERF blaster for this. Maybe a different NERF blaster would do it. That maybe the ratio of length of barrel to to diameter of barrel, it needs to be a little different for Boomco, because okay, that's about 180 feet, it looks like 180, 185, but it's not really great performance. It can be better. So let's see, let's try this theory out. I'm gonna go and break out my dual strike. Try that out. So I'm thinking that because it's a smaller diameter dart, you actually need a longer, thinner tube. And where on a 50 caliber, a fat stubby tube does best, because it's a different caliber, it might actually need a different profile tube. Let's try it. Let's try this. I'm going to throw the dual strike, which has a longer tube, even though it's still got the big diameter, but we'll have plenty of air to throw that. Let's see here. Now we're going with the dual strike. My theory is that the shorter draw is not good for smaller diameter. It's good for bigger diameter, having the big stubby draw, but not smaller. But now I have the same diameter in the dual strike, but I have a longer draw, so it will kind of help test my theory. Let's see what we get. Oh yeah, indeed. Okay, let's go and check out where this way. It's kind of a blustery day, but I do like the fact that the Boomco darts don't get swayed by the wind too much, and that is of course because they're a smaller cross section of dart. They're smaller in diameter, so this means that to design a Springer for Boomco would require different designing principles than 50 cal. I totally expected that, actually. And let's see. Oh, look at that. You saw the last shot, okay? And you can hear at the very end where the compression ratio was really high and it kind of bounded the plunger on the bird of prey. This one has another inch of plunger. So that means that it has another inch to compress air before it hits the very end of it. And it makes the compression of air a little bit more slower of a buildup of pressure. And because you're going through a smaller diameter tube, you need that. Or else what happens is, yeah, that's about 205 feet right there. Also, these are just 3D printed heads. They're not silicone. They don't have the same kind of attention that the darts have had. If anybody remembers silicone heads of old and silicone heads of new, and the ranges we're getting now because of all the advancements we've done, this hasn't been done with Boomco. Okay, that was peculiar, wasn't it? We had the bird of prey, short, stubby, 66 cc's of air, and it flew about 180 feet. But when we gave it the longer tube, same spring, goes relatively the same distance. I would say this goes a little farther, but it goes relatively the same distance. This thing did 210. Why such the difference? And I even think that that's mediocre for this dart format. Let me explain why. Because when you got a smaller diameter, you have a higher compression ratio if you were to go like ½ inch, okay? You go from ½ inch to 10 millimeter, then what happens is that you need a longer time period to compress the air. And what this did was, because it had a longer time period to compress in the 16 3/4, it was able to do it, okay? Now, this is not, I don't even think that this is ideal for a Boomco. I think actually ideal would probably be 1.25 diameter rather than long shot diameter, and probably more like probably 4 inches, 4.5 inches long, like the longer draw. And the reason is because of compression ratios. You see, when you have it as an area of the front of your tube, and it's got to compress all the air down, so you're necking it down to this small tube. I mean, you got to think about it. Even ½ an inch is quite crazy. Now, You bring that down to 10 millimeters, you're bringing down the area by, I would say, off the top of my head, 60%. So now it's got almost twice the amount of air it's got to compress at once. And this makes it so that you need a longer time period to do so. So you want something that, okay, if the bird of prey does well with a 1.8 to 1 compression ratio, then you need to make this 1.8 to 1 as well. And that would make it so that it can deal with the air as it goes through. See? So finding the right length of brass, which is what I'm trying to do, and the right kind of springer for a Boomco is going to be a challenge, but it's going to be interesting. I had a feeling that a longer plunger tube would work. I think the next thing I'm going to try is thinner plunger tube, and the same. That's right. To do that, I'm probably either going to have to get a homemade or try it out on something else. Yeah. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of experimenting to get it right. But it's a fascinating result. Isn't that a fascinating result what we got out there? Yeah. And put in mind, I really think that this can go farther. Like that's just a 3D printed head, and it's backfilled with go-to glue. It weighs about a gram and a quarter. It's nothing as fine-tuned or researched or anything, but this is the kind of research that we need to do to make this dart format work. I did notice it was really windy outside. I'm talking like 50, 60 mile an hour gusts, and the dart went exactly to the bush. Exactly to the bush. Even the other shot went exactly to the bush. Wow, you know? So, what we need to think about is it's going to need a different kind of blaster to do it. Or you can just go air gun, you know. But I think air gun itself shouldn't be first. I think Springer should be in there too. And if people just sit there and go, oh, just air gun it, the hell with it, then you're never going to have that accomplishment that you have with the long shot and you had with all the other blasters that shoot Stefan. And you really need to not just pay attention to air gun and take the easy way out. You need to think, okay, what's a good Springer that would work for this? Well, until next time, this is Chris Cartea saying, don't you go changing, or I'll find you and I'll perforate your head with this piece of brass. Kind of like this.